12:04 in the afternoon, 4 minutes after 12, here on 90.3 FM. It's Wednesday. That means it's Joe Steckler Day, helping seniors of Brevard. And here's the host of the show, Joe Steckler.
Hi, I'm just watching one of our panelists tear the mic out of the stop because she got so engrossed in talking to somebody in the studio she didn't pay attention to what she was going to have to say. So let's talk radio, folks. And we're going to talk about something today. I'm going to try and start 5 things at one time. I asked one of our panelists how she enjoyed being retired, and she looked at me and started laughing. I looked at myself and to think about being retired at 85, and I laugh at that too. And I got to where I hurt so doggone bad a couple of days ago. I stopped in at my doctor's office and said, for goodness sakes, do something about this. It's a prednisone pack or something. I think I've got the gout again. Well, I took that. That didn't make a whole heck of a lot of difference. I'm still managing getting to point A to B, but it sure as heck doesn't feel good. And I just imagine there are a whole heck of a lot of people out there. So I was working on my article for Hometown News that I got to submit this Friday. And I wrote about Brevard from a senior's viewpoint. And I decided that we would talk about that on a radio show today. And since we are starting to get so many doggone wonderful sponsors, I'm going to list some of the longest running ones with us today. And you can go to our website, helpingseniorsofbrevard.org, and take a look at all we're doing and our new sponsors. And I'm going to tell you something very important about that website as we walk through our show today, and you'll start to listen. And I hope that you'll start to pay attention to what I'm saying about we've got to change if we want to do things better. We cannot live with the status quo. Now, having said that, some of my longest running sponsors, first of all, is our panelist today, Seniors Helping Seniors, and the lady that's a panelist is the lady that started it. So we'll let her talk in a few minutes. I don't want to let her in now because I'll never get her stopped. The other point I want to talk about is the Eye Institute, Dr. Lee Sheldon, Bill Johnson, Elbowed attorney. There's a couple more, and I'm trying to think of who they are. Senior Scene Magazine and the Eye Institute and Vitas. They have been some of our longest running sponsors, and one of the reasons, folks, not only do they get business, but they know what it means to have a program like this in existence that tries their very best to give you honest, up-to-date information about sources and resources that are available to you that we can help you connect to if you know about them. And one of my main thrusts in writing Brevard from a senior viewpoint was the fact that when I stopped in to get this prednisone pack from my doctor, who was not in that day, but his PA was, I had never met the young woman, described my problem, she checked a few things, and she agreed that what I thought I had was in fact what I did have. One word led to another, and she was telling us about she gets so many calls from seniors that just need help, and she says, I don't know where to send them. I said, if you want to pull this side up, you got this on your computer right in front of you. She said, what is it? I gave it to her, and she says, my goodness, I did not know all these things existed. And that is the sad, sad truth, folks. We have close to 650,000 people in Brevard County now, and more people coming in all the time. When I came here, it was 230,000. We're growing at an exponential rapid rate. And if we don't do something, and I mean seniors, if we don't do a better job of getting united, we're going to be left so far in the dust that you're going to hurt. You're not going to have a primary care doctor. You're not going to have the financial resources to pay what you do find. And you're going to say, I've got to have this. But in reality, you know that you could possibly get by on a lower level of care. And I personally, from having been in this business 30 years, think that our licensing levels are sadly out of date. I think we could do better with our licensing programs and get programs to do things like the program we're going to talk about today. There's absolutely no reason why a person cannot be trained to help lift another person from a fall position and get them into a bed, a chair, or something similar, or at least put their hand on their arm while they guide them into a shower and not just sit there and watch them fall. And I'm sure Rosemary will be able to talk about that because that's what her business was, and that's what she's still doing. She helps her daughter with it. She knows exactly what I'm talking about. So there are things that we can do better that we just don't do them. And I've just got to figure out how I can do better in my writing and make these columns appear also in Florida Today so that we have adequate coverage of the county. And we can do it on the Internet. We have it on the Internet, but you've got to believe. And once you see it, you will believe it, because I can tell you from personal experience that people that have called our office for help have, in most cases, been directed to a resource that can, in some way, help them. And that's what's important. So, after my little diatribe today, because it's bothered me the last couple of days, and what I continue to go through with, when I can't even get to the bottom of my own problem, I talk about helping you fix yours. But that's the way it is. So, without me talking anymore, Rosemary, you and your daughter founded Seniors Helping Seniors. Would you please tell our listening audience how and why you started helping seniors?
Well, I guess it was
Get close to that mic so they can hear you.
I guess it was a natural for both Jennifer and I. She had been a special education teacher and was used to dealing with young children and had a lot of patience with them. And when she decided to get out of teaching and look for something else, she really thought about seniors because she was working with her husband's grandmother at the time and was really enjoying it. When I sat down with her and we talked about it further and talked with Seniors Helping Seniors, I got so excited about it that I said, okay, when are we going to start this business? So I think it was something that we both had a natural affinity to do. I have been a caregiver since I was a teenager because I grew up with middle-aged parents who had developed some serious illnesses, and so I spent my teenage years being a caregiver. And I think that was, something that just became part of me for my whole life. So when this opportunity came along, we grabbed at it, and we felt that it was something that was very, very needed in Brevard County. And also because we had a recent experience where my brother and his wife both came down with Alzheimer's at the same time. And when I was dealing with that, and of course this was before Seniors Helping Seniors, I was lost. I had absolutely no idea of where to go, who to talk to, how to deal with the whole situation, and it was a real eye-opener. So, when this came along, I said, boy, if this had only been when my brother was, alive, I could have helped him so much more.
What came along? What came along?
Well, what came along was the knowledge of what's out there.
Yeah, let's get to why did you help? How'd you get into Seniors Helping Seniors? How'd you start that? How did you start Seniors Helping Seniors?
Well, we started
How'd you find it?
Well, we started the reason that we started it was, of course, the things that I have mentioned,
Right.
and the fact that we knew that we would be able to help others. And from our experience, and particularly my experience with my brother, having gone through that, frustration of, where do I go? Where back at that time there was no Helping Seniors of Brevard County to call. We really knew of nothing, and then trying to figure out, could they afford services with the little bit that we could find, and how are we going to get them to make sure that they took their medicines correctly? And how are we going to get them to, shower properly? And how are we going to get them to make their doctor appointments? And I was trying to do it all. And it was very difficult, very, very difficult time. So,
But when you were doing that, did you? No, keep it looking at the mic.
Okay.
When you knew you needed to do that, did you know what year was that?
What year was that? That was around 2005, 2006.
Why didn't you call the Alzheimer's Foundation?
Well, at that time, I didn't even know there was an Alzheimer's Foundation. I was fairly new. I was fairly new to Brevard County myself.
Right, but the resources are there. People just don't have the information access.
No, that's absolutely correct. They don't have the information, and we realize this on a daily basis. I'm dealing right now with I have a 98-year-old sister-in-law who lives here in Brevard County, and fortunately very close to me. And she was recently hospitalized. And because of the resources that we now have, we have seniors helping seniors coming in to stay with her at night. We knew where we could go get all of the equipment that we were going to need for her. We knew where we could find somebody who could bathe her. So all of the things that she has needed during the course of the last week, we've been right there with it. And that's what we want for everyone. We want everybody to have those resources. But unfortunately, we can have as many health fairs as we can possibly do. We can get on the radio like this and talk about these things. But a lot of times I think people are in total denial that they should learn about these kinds of things until it happens to them.
You're exactly right.
And then it's too late. Then you're panic struck and not knowing where to go or what to do, and you're stressed out. And because I've been there and done that, I know how it feels. And it's not necessary to be that way, because there are so many things out there, and people just need to get out and look for them. Look for all the health fairs. Look for anything that's going to give you any kind of information about seniors. And if you are stuck and need help and you don't know where to go, call Helping Seniors of Brevard County. Say, this is my problem. Where do I go? How can I find somebody to help me? And oftentimes people will give you advice for free.
Helping Seniors does give all the advice for free.
Yes.
And I talked to Kim Bernard, who is our information specialist at Helping Seniors a couple of days ago, and I said, how are things going? She said, Joe, I've been almost on the phone all day long trying to help this one woman solve a problem. I said, Kim, you have other phone calls to answer. You have to help raise money. You have to help get sponsors. You have to help put people in a directory so we get more resources in the directory, so when people look at the directory, they can find out more people that can help them. I said, we cannot spend a whole day on one person. She said, Joe, but you had to listen to him. And that's the secret, folks. When somebody calls in need and you can sense it, almost all else seems to go by the window. And that's what has bothered me so much, Rosemary and Kerry, about what's happening. And I think that we regressed here in Brevard County, because I think that we initially had county commissioners that had been caregivers, that had parents or family members that were sick, and they were more attuned tuned to the needs of the elderly than the current batch. And when you're not attuned to the needs of trying to help a family member or telling a friend where to go they can get help that's affordable, and you're more worried about, whether you're going to fill another pothole in a road or you're going to do something like that, and you can say, oh, geez, let's cut this senior program out because if we take $1 million away from the seniors, we can probably fill 100, 150, 200 potholes. And then our constituents would stop complaining about the potholes. But see, their constituents call them about the potholes and the holes in the road and the poor intersections and the access to streets and all the other doggone stuff they think is really important. But the majority of people aren't faced with a situation like you were faced with, Rosemary, but when they are, I can assure you, they panic because they don't know where to go for help. And that's exactly why I started 2011, started helping seniors, because I explain in an article, folks, that I will be published probably next week in Hometown News. It's about Brevard from a senior's viewpoint, from my viewpoint. It's what has happened, has not happened, and what was happening, but because of a change in modus operandi, we stopped doing what we were doing to look to the future. And I looked up some studies in the Wharton School of Business about what's going to happen in this country with loss of financial assets by seniors and the cost of care and the cost of living by 2043. And I tell you, it will scare the umpty out of you if you read it. Because if you don't believe that somebody somewhere along knows more than you do, you're living in a sad, backward world. And I am angry this morning, folks. I'm angry because we have failed to honestly face a problem that the world is facing. Because at the same time, I looked at another study, and this study states that they thought that by 2050, and folks, it's 2019 now, by 2050, 1 in 11 senior citizens were going to be over the age of 65 in the entire world. That study was wrong. It has now been dropped to 1 in 6.
I would believe that.
Not 1 in 11, but 1 in 6, which is doggone getting close to 1.5 of the world being 65 or over. So it really won't hurt a lot if we push a button someplace and kill half the world.
Oh, my
Well,
goodness.
at least we'll get the generations back to being younger, and they'll don't have to worry about the problems of being older. But seriously, growing older is a thing that people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s don't think about as much as they should be thinking. Kerry, you've been with helping seniors a long time now, and you have become extremely informed. Your job is marketing. You have a master's in marketing. You've gone to Georgia Tech. It's a doggone good school, and then Georgia State College.
For my master's.
For your master's. And, I don't think you're a dense person at all. You're a smart person. So, do you support what? And you can say, honest to God, whatever you want to. What do you think about what I'm saying now? And you're pretty quick off your feet.
I think there's two really good points that both of you guys who are really experts in aging have touched upon. And the number one fact, Joe, you have, ever since I've known you, talked about the importance of putting together an aging plan. we're told to plan for everything, right? We're supposed to plan for retirement. We're supposed to plan for our kids going to college. We're supposed to plan for the kind of house we want to have, all these different things. And what you talk about over and over is the need to talk about an aging plan, so that when you get to a place where you can't really take care of yourself, you have already thought through how you want to have this done. And that's, I think, the most urgent point that keeps coming up in the Helping Seniors dialogue about everything we do, is we're trying to get information in the hands of people, so that a lot of times, and I've said this so many times, most often we think money will solve the problem, and it certainly increases your options, but oftentimes it's the right piece of information that will make all the difference. You can have all the money and not know which way to turn, and you're still not going to be able to solve your problem. The second thing that you guys were talking about, and I think this is so important, because what happens for all of us is just what Rosemary was talking about, the denial phase, where, you understand somehow that mom or dad is getting older, but you're sort of in denial about it until you are hit with it, something that you just can't sweep it away anymore. You have to deal with it. And then the challenge for those of us when we're in our 30s, 40s, 50s, trying to help mom or dad, we may think we're smart, but we're ill prepared because we have no idea where to begin, because we haven't paid any attention to these things until we run up on it. So now that is the other mission I think that's so important about why you write the articles, why we do the television, why we do the radio, why we're at the expos, why we get out and do this at the Senior Resource Center of Brevard, where we have these community information talks. All we're trying to do is give you some vital information that will cause you to, A, think ahead about your own aging plan, and B, if it's not for yourself, you're going to be able to help somebody in your life. Because we've said this over and over. If you are in Brevard County, you either are a senior, or you're caring for a senior, or God willing, you're going to become a senior. So there is nobody in this county that this information isn't relevant for.
Yeah, God willing, you become a senior, but sometimes when you become a senior, you hurt like hell. And I'm going to tell you, it's no fun. And that brings me to another concern that I have in this county, and I'm thinking we're seeing it all over the United States because of something that's happened at the national level, a little subject program called Medicare. Mm-hmm. And Medicare is driving our doctors from small towns to larger towns where there theoretically are more lucrative businesses.
Sure.
And we're losing our doctors, and it makes it harder and harder to find primary care doctors. And when I call somebody, or I get a call from a lot of people saying, Joe, who would you recommend for a primary doctor? God, that's tough, because I'm scared to death, because my primary care doctor is a retired Air Force flight surgeon, and hell, he's been my doctor for 30 years. Now, how much longer is that guy going to practice? Every time I see him, I said, "You're not thinking about retiring, are you?" It scares me.
Well, it's an interesting story. My mother was her primary care's literally patient number 3 when he moved to Brevard County, and since that amount of time, the office has had to grow. He's literally a corporate doctor in a corporate system, but they now have all these ARNs, registered nurses, because the doctor simply doesn't have time to see the patients, and it has to do with the business ramifications of exactly what you're talking about.
But some of these PAs are really, really good. And I shouldn't say this, and I know I'm not going to lose any of my doctors, because I talk to my doctors and I think we trust each other. But some of these doctors, I'm not sure they're any better than their PAs.
No, in fact, what our experience is that those people really took the time in a way that the doctor would want to, but couldn't, just because of the business ramifications.
Okay. We got a bunch of subjects we're going to get into after the break, folks, but I really want you to stay with it. But I'm going to put a bee in Rosemary's bonnet, because I want her to talk about a program called Seniors Helping Seniors, what it costs and what it can do, and why It's on a total echelon of care. And then I'm going to tell you how it could be bumped up with a little licensing change and do what about 2 or 3 others can do in a licensing. So with that thought, folks, I really want you to stay in line with the second half of the show, because we're going to really, really get after you about helping us spread the information. So stay with us.
12:34 in the afternoon here on 90.3 FM. Now back to more of Helping Seniors of Brevard with your host, Joe Steckler.
Good afternoon, folks. This is Joe Steckler. We're back live with the second part of the show. You know, I forgot to give out the phone number here. The phone number here, if you want to call us, and you are certainly welcome. And I can't imagine, well, we've already had one phone call, I'll tell you, but it's kind of funny. The phone number is 722-9998. 722-9998. Right near the end of the show, we had Eric, the station manager, came in and told Rosemary she had a phone call. I didn't give the phone number, but somehow the woman knew the phone number. She called the radio station here and told Rosemary she needed help. She heard the first part of the show. So Rosemary went out and told her, gave her office number that she can call them. And now, so I'll give you the phone number for Rosemary's office, because I call it so often and she might have forgot it. I don't even want to test her memory. But I know that number. It's 722-2999-8. No. I forget it. It's 722-2999.
That's it.
See, Rosemary corrected me. She did the phone number. But what's important, folks, talk radio. We make mistakes. We may tell you something that we might be able to tell you in a better way, like giving you the correct phone number. But I assure you that everything we try to tell you, try to bring to you, is something that will make your caregiving, your living, your ability to find a doctor, to find transportation, to find affordable housing, something better. And I'll give you a sort of a heads up, and I don't know anything more about this than what I'm going to say right now. I'm going to a meeting tomorrow to a potential investor in affordable housing construction here in Brevard County, that if it happens, it will be truly affordable. Once I have the meeting, I will know more about what I can say, but I can tell you that a continual push for affordable housing is starting to drive the private sector into ways that they can do just that and at the same time make a profit. They may not make 150% profit. They only may make a 50% profit. But I understand business. People have to go into it for a profit in order to pay for it, because that's how they do it. Investors just can't go out and do things and not get some recompense someplace to do something further. So I'll tell you about what I'll find. But, you know, a thing that's bothered me, Kerry and Rosemary, is that, and I'll still let Rosemary tell a little bit about her business, but what's bothered me a lot in Brevard County is we have regressed. We have truly, truly regressed. And I pointed it out in my opening for the show because I think the leadership in Brevard County has changed to the point that we have more young leadership than we do older leadership, starting at the commissioner level, which moves down through the whole system to define what is important to those that we put in elected offices. You know, roads, like seniors, develop potholes. The problem is it is an asphalt or concrete problem in a road that sure as heck doesn't hurt unless the senior that hurts manages to drive a wheel into the pothole and shock the heck out of himself and cause him or her to hurt all over. But those potholes that are in humans as we grow older, without treatment, without access to care for those potholes, hurts us.
Mm-hmm.
And when you hurt, you don't want to get above. You lose interest in trying to do things. Think about this sometimes. Those of you that are grandparents that truly, truly love being with your children, do all the ads about Lyrica and Cymbalta and all these miracle drugs transform you into that doddering old cripple like I am to somebody that's jumping around on 2 feet, bouncing that 5-year-old grandchild off of their shoulders? I can remember when I was in the Navy and I was 20 years old, I'd come home on my leave, and my nephew and niece, my niece especially, would be terrified because I'd pick her up and throw her higher in the lower floor of the garage and drop her down and catch her. And she tells me about this today, and she's in her 60s now. And she says, I don't think, Uncle Joe, that you could do that anymore. And I said, I looked at her, I said, I know I definitely couldn't do it. I wouldn't want to do it either because she's too good looking. I wouldn't want to drop her. But, we can joke. We can joke all we want. But finding elements of care that will help us live a decent life, whether it's us or us acting as a caregiver in a home, are things we all need to know more about, because these elements of care do exist at affordable prices if we are willing to give up some of that hard-earned money that we are trying to save so hard to give to one of our children that's going to turn right around with that $70 or $80 check they've gotten and go out and buy a Porsche. A car you never would buy yourself because you wanted to save money for your children. You probably have managed to purchase the lowest level element of car that would get you by, not something you'd always dreamed of owning, simply for the reason you wanted to pass on to your children and grandchildren the most that you could. And Rosemary, while I was talking, you were nodding your head, and you probably agree 100% or close to it with me.
I do agree with you, Joe, and I agree with you wholeheartedly because I'm one of those people myself.
I know it. I wouldn't have said it, but
I grew up with parents who had gone through the Depression, and they were all for saving for a rainy day, and I was taught that at a very young age. So I'm one of those people now who is sort of semi-retired, but I'm still living the way I always lived because that's how we were taught to live.
Right.
To put that penny aside, and I'm still trying to put that penny aside, I guess. And yet at the same time, being in this business, I look at clients that we are talking to who really, truly, truly need help, but they're not willing to spend any money on themselves to their own detriment. Somebody who needs in-home care, and there are so many levels of in-home care, but someone who needs the help and is willing to work with the proper agency to get that help can oftentimes age in place for a very, very long time. They can stay in their home, they can be healthy, they can get good meals. There's so much that they're able to do. But we often will get a call and someone will talk to them, we'll sit down and we'll do an assessment. And then when they find out that it's going to cost them some money to have those services, oh no, can't do that. Can't afford that. And the children are standing behind, shaking their heads. Yes, they can afford it. but they refuse the help. And then 2 months later, we get a phone call from the family saying, Mom or Dad is in the hospital with a broken hip, because they wouldn't listen. And so now they've hurt themselves because they've done something that a caregiver could have done for them. And now they're looking at not only hospital bills, but doctor bills, and now possibly having to go into a senior or some sort of an assisted living, or even nursing home care, which are all very, very, very costly.
But you are the lowest element of care. And I want you to tell people exactly what you do. But having said that, folks, there's a wonderful article that is currently available to you in Hometown News called Fall Prevention. And The reason I say it's wonderful is because I wrote it, and it's about me falling, and it's about me falling for a simple reason, that I knew that I was putting my hand in a place I shouldn't have, and I overextended. I lost my balance. There was nothing to grab onto, and I fell on a tile floor. I could have broken a hip. I could have done that damage, but I have been trained how to fall. And there are ways to fall. Now, that doesn't always mean it's going to happen the way you want it to happen, but there are programs that will teach you how to fall. Now, having said that, Rosemary, your program, while it may not be able to, they have to be careful. I want you to explain what you do, but having said that, if a person needed their walker and they couldn't reach it, while you may not be able to put them in the walker, you could hand the walker to them. Mm-hmm. Or, if they needed breakfast fixed in the morning, you can fix that breakfast for them, which these people may be able to, they may be able to put something together for themselves to eat, but generally speaking, it's too hard because they can't carry a tray with one hand, and it's very hard. I watched a movie this morning, or yet last night, where this kid, 5 years old, was carrying a bowl of cereal up a steps. It just had new carpet installed on him, and the milk was sloshing all over the place. He didn't spill it, and that was showing that was the type of carpet, but still no. What do seniors helping seniors do? And tell people how you're the lowest element of care and some of the things you can do. And the cost and the cost to assist. And I'm going to ask Kerry to pick up. I'll stay out of it for a while. You talk and Kerry.
Okay. At Seniors Helping Seniors, we consider ourselves the lowest rung in the ladder of healthcare needs. So someone who has never had any need for any sort of assistance suddenly finds himself in a situation where, maybe because of their vision or some other impairment, they can no longer drive to a doctor appointment. Maybe they can no longer clean their own house. Perhaps they cannot remember to take their meds. Perhaps they are just not feeling up to getting breakfast in the morning. Various different reasons. People who are early stage Alzheimer's, where the family isn't really comfortable going out and leaving them alone. All of these different types of things are things that we do as part of our daily doing business. And we like being where we are. There are a lot of companies that offer services like CNAs or HHAs. But when Seniors Helping Seniors was founded originally, its whole purpose is to be that bottom rung of the ladder, to offer the kinds of services that people need when they're just getting started. Not to say that we can't do a whole lot more than that in terms of, time and effort, but a lot of companies that are out there today require, say, 3-hour minimums, 3 or 4 days a week. So, to go with them, you're committing yourselves to maybe 12 hours a week. What we do is we simply say, we have a 2-hour minimum. There is no contract. We will come, we will get you, we will do whatever it is that you need to have done in that 2-hour period. If you need to go longer, we're happy to do that. We have some clients that we are with on a 24/7 basis, but that's very few and far between. Usually when a person needs that kind of care, unless they are fairly wealthy or have very good insurance, it's unaffordable. At that point, they need to be someplace else. But there also is a great need for the people who just need the couple of hours.
Mm-hmm.
And, and it's an easy way to kind of start getting help, whether it's going grocery shopping or to the doctor appointment or having somebody come in and help you do some of the laundry and some of the house cleaning that's difficult for you to do. Those are the kinds of things that you need to have a company out there that can do them. And another thing that we found is by just being homemaker companion service, we're able to hire seniors. And that is the beauty of the company, because the person who is going to come to your door and be with you is a person who is a senior themselves. They've either cared for their parents, they've cared for their spouses, they've cared for other people in their family, like myself. I'm the youngest of 7 children, so I've had a lot of older siblings that have needed help over the years that I've been able to step in and because I was younger and be able to help them. And even as a senior, I've been able to help them.
Well, I said I wouldn't say anything. So that's why you were able to talk about depression, because you had 7 older brothers and sisters that were born during the Depression.
Oh, yes,
okay.
yes.
You were trying to make out that you were there during the Depression, and you were not.
No. I said my parents.
Oh, I
my
thought
parents
you said
lived
you were, and you
during
were a
the
big
Depression.
fibber.
No.
Okay.
But my oldest brother, whose wife I talked about earlier, was 23 years older than I. So
okay, all right.
I have, a lot of siblings there that, as they have aged before me, I've had the experience of working with them and helping.
Yeah, because I was born during the Depression. I know you're not as old as I am. So
no, I'm a little bit younger than you are, Joe.
Keep talking.
Well, and
got me there.
One of the
Kerry
things,
wants to say something.
One of the things that I wanted to just interject into this conversation is the fact that something that you guys were hitting on as we came into the second half of the show, which is that what seniors helping seniors really seems to be excellent at doing is starting the process of what Joe calls the first rung of an aging plan. Mm-hmm. Because there's a point where either the adult kids are trying to do everything they can, but they're busy, they're trying to raise their own kids, they're trying to get to and from work and take care of all the things they need to do. They want to be good children, so they're trying to do the best they can for mom or dad or whoever the relative is, but simply can't invest that time at that rate. And then the second thing is, by bringing you guys in at an early stage, it gets the person used to and comfortable, because it's, again, somebody that is more contemporary for them. So it's not it's not a young kid chewing gum and listening and playing on their phone all day. It's somebody who kind of grew up and understands where that person is and the help that they need.
Exactly. And, one of the things that we also do is we try to work very, very closely with our clients and with their families, so that as the needs become greater, we can recognize those needs. And when it does come to be a time where they really need the hands-on care, which is, something that ultimately may happen with them, that we can help, guide them to good companies who will be able to provide them with that care. But in the meantime, they're not paying the extra money to be with a company that's requiring them to have more hours than they can really afford or that they really need. And
as Joe was saying too, and I mean, this is such an important part of the equation. We major on the minor and we forget, just what you guys were talking about. What is the cost of a fall? What is the cost of hurting yourself? What is the cost of not doing this the right way, when the little bit of money that you might be talking about for having safe, good, reliable help, help that is, because this is another thing we talk about. We're doing, we have this talk about fraud prevention and things like that.
Exactly.
And they're all saying, be careful who you allow in your home and all those kind of things. I think those are all questions that get answered satisfactorily, right, when people give you guys a call.
Well, that's true, because I actually the one that does all of the hiring for our company. And we have a very high standard that we hold people to. And, of course, they can't work for us until they're a senior, but we look at their driving records. We look at the Brevard County court system. They have a level 2 federal background check. I call all of their references. We really look into who we're hiring, and we don't hire people who are just looking for a job or desperately need money. We're looking for people who are retired and want to give back. They truly, truly are in it because they would work for nothing, actually. But they like the idea of getting a little bit of paycheck. They enjoy getting out and meeting other seniors. It's a social time for them. Oftentimes, when they go out and do companion services. Or take, another senior out to lunch or wherever they want to go. It's a social life for them as well. So we look for those kind of people. We have engineers and college professors and people from all walks of life who work for us, but they're all very good quality people. And we make sure of that.
But you try to fit people to the situation. And as you two were talking, there's a thought that came to my mind. We talk about occupational therapy, and a lot of people don't know what occupational therapy is. Occupational therapy is therapy designed to teach you how to move safely in your home and perform some of the things that you need to do. And as I think about it, maybe Rosemary and Kerry, we could be smarter about where we use grab bars sometimes in the house, not just necessarily in a shower or in a bathroom. We might be able to want to talk. We might be able to want to place those grab bars at other locations in the home such that they would be more of a safety factor than they currently are just in the bathroom and the toilet area. And
yes,
Kerry's shaking, nodding his head. I bet no one ever thought about that, have we? We've never talked about that.
We talk about grab bars all the time.
Yeah, but we don't talk about them and place them in other places in the house. You might have a house that's got a dining room or a kitchen or a living room area that you're going to have to sit down by your chair. There might be such thing as putting a nice chrome 6-inch grab bar that you can hold on to as you lower yourself into your chair safely. And I bet I've never heard anybody discuss using grab bars outside of the toilet or bathroom area. Never.
That's true. That's true.
So we need to, that's why I keep thinking, we need to think more about what we're not doing and how we can do things a heck of a lot better. Kerry, do you want to say something?
No, I was just going to add to the conversation. See, I think the real thing that you guys are collectively talking about today is the value of good information, because when you have somebody in the home with you who is helping you on these things, and you have these conversations as your aging plan goes along. Somebody says, well, I noticed this might be an idea. This might be something to think about. Maybe a grab bar here is a good idea. All those things are helping you age successfully given your circumstances and putting you in the right track for fulfilling an aging plan. I guess I would say as successfully as all conditions would allow for it to be. And having you guys in the home at that early stage helping creates this circle of care, right? Because you have people who they know the person, they understand what's going on, and that's part of the value of
I got to cut you both off. I want to thank you, Kerry. I want to thank you, Rosemary. And when we play this show back, I bet Jennifer, your daughter, will never believe you could talk this long. I just am amazed. But folks, seriously, Kerry will have this show up on our organization, Helping Seniors of Brevard.org, and that article of mine about fall prevention, and the one will come out this week on Senior Viewpoint are all articles you can pull up and read yourself just by going to our website. And I highly encourage you to do everything you can about being better performed. So, we'll see you next week, and I'm not sure who the panelists will be, but we'll have somebody here. Thank you.